Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Philip, aka Game Boy Color, and this is the first video on my channel. Um, and today I have something very special for y'all. I just picked up the Monster Hunter Generations Nintendo 3DS, new 3DS XL from GameStop just a couple minutes ago. Obviously, I have my receipt here. So I'm gonna turn the camera around. We're gonna go take a look at it. So obviously, first thing you'll see here, I have my wrist strap. This is a Mario wrist strap that came with the Mario Wii remote. I just like it because of the color, and it goes well with my hat, which shouldn't be on the table, but it's super hot, so I don't care. I have my Hawaiian Punch. I have some Hawaiian Punch in the cup to keep me refreshed. My Mario cap. I have Asphalt Urban GT for the DS. Not a bad game. Not a particularly good one either, and it didn't age very well. But regardless, I still love the game. For those that have a new 3DS, this is cool. For those that don't, the new Nintendo 3DS does not come with an AC adapter, and it will tell you that. It will tell you that on the box. It doesn't come with one. So these aren't hard. You can go to any hardware store, Radio Shack, Best Buy, Target, whatever. They're like $10-15. And if you have a DSi or ever owned a DSi model Nintendo console, the same charges will work for this as well. I have that, like I said, I have that on the side. Everything else is in here, so we're gonna move everything else over there. Whatever, I guess that's a sticker or whatever. And then we have the new Nintendo 3DS XL. This is the Monster Hunter Generations model. As you can see, this is the metallic blue that came out elsewhere in the world, like in Europe, Australia, and Japan. This is just a Monster Hunter design. So obviously it tells you right there in the bottom, AC adapter not included. And it says the Monster Hunter game sold separately. So it doesn't come with the game. So if you wanted the Monster Hunter Generations game, you're going to have to buy that separately. I know it's a bummer, but that's just how Nintendo rolls now. I guess. Because as you can see, it's got artwork of 4 of the monsters on the front of the box. Nice, pretty box art. You can also see it on right here. I assume those are the icons that are in the game. Don't get me wrong. It's not that don't get me wrong. I don't play Monster Hunter. I've played it before, but I can't get into it. It's just not my cup of tea. But I do appreciate the series for what it is. This is the top of the box. Obviously, it says the Monster Hunter Generations Edition, Capcom. There's my serial number. Whatever. I don't care. You guys might as well see it. Whatever. 3DS XL. There's the bottom of the box, which tells you how to operate it. Any technical modifications might damage your system. Blah, blah, blah. On the side, you have your viewing of 3D images, or if you have epilepsy and seizures, talk to your doctor before playing. It tells you this. I mean, they don't have to, but they need to because, it's a liability against them, things of that nature. The bottom of the box. Oh, wait, we already did the bottom of the box. My bad. Sorry about that. And then this is the back. Now, what you'll notice differently is that usually on the back of a standard 3DS XL box, it'll show you the inside of the console. This one happens to show the outside, I guess, to show the coloring or the design of it and everything. Next dimension of entertainment. Again, it tells you AC adapter sold separately. It's in big bold, and it tells you that it uses the same AC adapter as the DSi, 3DS, and 2DS. So if you have any one of those systems laying around with an extra charger, those chargers will work just fine. Yes, for North America, this color is region locked to the United States, so unless you have any technical do-how on how to go around that, you won't be playing games from another region on it. What the friggin' hell? Sorry about that. That was a tape. So you're in the inside of the system. It comes with, obviously, inside the box, you get the system. You get a stylus or the stick pen, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It comes with 6 AR cards. AR is short for augmented reality, and It also comes with a 4 gig micro SD high capacity memory card. So we're actually going to take a look at this box. We're gonna open it up carefully. Ooh. There we go. First thing you're gonna notice is that right when you open up the box, some of the designs, I guess, from the game's characters can be seen on it. Very nice box. I mean, outside of you pulling this out, you're not gonna really see that. So we got this. We should flip this over. Oh my god. Alright. So we're gonna put the box there. Right? Inside you have your quick start operations manual, which is basically like a pamphlet, as well as your augmented reality cards. These are the same augmented reality cards that come with the standard 3DS, 3DS XL, and all their other 3DS related models, including the actually, I don't even think the 2DS comes with this, because the 2DS doesn't even have 3D. But whatever. Like I said, this is just a basic instruction manual. It's just an operations manual, though. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's so hard trying to lift this up. This tape is annoying me. Okay. Obviously, you have your instruction manual. It says quick start guide. So it's basically just, it's just telling you how to get the system started quickly. I assume the actual manual is like on the system itself, as is everything else. We're gonna put this back in the box. No, not in the box, but back in the plastic little slider. So we're gonna put that back in there. Put that back in there. And then for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna hoist this up so you can see. And then here is the system inside of here. We're gonna take it out and put that down there, and here it is. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty nice. It's a very pretty system, though. Definitely very pretty. Hold on, I got my fingerprints on it. I want to kind of show it without the fingerprints. So this is the top of the console. I'm gonna use my phone and lift it up. So the first thing you're gonna notice is like this nice metallic navy blue. This is the metallic blue color, like I said, that North America never got. For reference, in Australia and in Europe, they got a Monster Hunter Generations model, but instead of theirs being blue, they got red. Reason being is that red in those regions, as well as in Japan, was a standard color release without the markings and stuff on the console, whereas in America, the red was the standard color. So we basically got each other's regional colors. I guess it's a fair trade. But I've just noticed something too. Outside of the text on it saying Monster Hunter Generations, and it has an icon of the 4 monsters on it, I just noticed that there's monsters inside the paint. There's monsters inside the lid. Like, it has like a ghosting effect. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but when I tilt it one way, you cannot see like the designs of the monsters. So it just looks like regular navy blue. And then when you angle it toward the light, you see like the monsters and everything. I think they're called kaijus or something. I think they're called kaijus. But yeah, you angle the system toward the light, and you can actually see, I think, the monsters right there. That's a nice effect. It's subtle, but it's nice. And then on the back of the console, the back is the same thing. Excuse the fingerprints, but it also has the same thing. This doesn't have as much of a ghosting effect, but it obviously tells you made in China. So the first thing you're gonna notice about this console, like I said, there's a few things they changed about it. So we're gonna go on the outside of it, and you're gonna go on the outside of the console and look around it, and then we're gonna check it out on the inside. So if we go on the top of the console here, you have your ZL and ZR buttons. as well as your ZR and shoulder buttons. The wrist strap has been moved from the corners to the back, where the charger slot used to be on the old 3DS, and the charger slot on the old 3DS was moved from where the wrist strap is now to the middle. It has an infrared port, which is obviously used for games like Pokemon and whatnot. On the front, you have your cartridge slot. So the cartridge slot for your games will now go in on the front, bottom left of your console. The headphone jack is in the center. Your stylus is now moved from the side to the front. And I like that it has like this nice little curvy bezel thing to it. And then the power button is also there. We're gonna open it up. Take this off. Here's the inside of the console. So the first thing you're gonna like straight up notice, first thing you're gonna notice is that the volume slider is now moved to the upper half of the lid, where it used to be down here on the bottom. You have your circle pad, you have your D-pad, you have your circle pad Pro. It's not really an analog stick, it's more of like a nub, like what you would find on like a home computer or something. What it's very tactile, very, it's very it's not as sensitive to touch, but it will register. All you have to do is slide your finger across it any one way, or push down and slide across it, and you'll be able to get a response. I tried a demo unit a while back, and like I said, it takes some getting used to because you're used to having an actual analog stick in your hand. But that's the fact that it's as responsive as it is, just shows how Nintendo is very competent with their stuff. You have the start and select buttons right here. You have the microphone. The start and select buttons used to be underneath the bottom half of the touchscreen, but they've been since moved. The home button is now the only button down there. There's a little indentation for this button to fit, and also for your finger to move. You have your power, charge, and street pass indicators right here. No, your Wi-Fi indicators down here. Your street pass indicators up here. So it's the only light on that actual hinge part. The buttons, the ABXY face buttons are multicolored. If you're wondering why that is, it's because it's a reference to the Super Nintendo. Well, not the American Super Nintendo. For those that lived in Europe, Australia, and Japan, their Super console, Japan had let's go back a little bit on history. Prior to the Super Nintendo, there's a version of it that came out in Japan called the Super Famicom. The Super Famicom was marketed with ABXY face buttons that were multicolored. The Japanese, the European, and the Australian consoles share the same casing. The only difference is the name and the region coding. Meaning, even though a European or an Australian Super Nintendo game will fit inside of a Super Famicom, because the European and Australian consoles are the PAL format, and Japan is an NTSC format, the games won't work even though the cartridges fit in the same slot. Meanwhile, the North American Super Nintendo has a vastly different design than the Japanese model, but despite the fact that the cartridges won't exactly fit in each other, unless you modify them, obviously, they have the same region code, so their games will work on one another. But yeah, that's what these color buttons are for. Like I said, there's the microphone port right there. The power button, like I said, is on the front. Your stylus is also on the front. The stylus is actually slightly smaller. The stylus of this console is actually slightly smaller than what you're used to. So if you're coming up from a 3DS XL, you're going to want a bigger stylus if this one isn't the right size for you. Obviously, the original 3DS had a metal extendable stylus. I wonder why they didn't go with metal, though, for this one. I think metal would have been a nice touch. That's actually one thing that I miss about my original 3DS, is that the stylus was actually made of metal. But yeah, that's the system there. It's just pretty. It's nice, and like I said, the system is nice and pretty. The system came out for $200. I paid like 204 because I had it pre-ordered since like April. But yeah, um, with all due respect, that's the system itself. I'm gonna go set it up later. Like I said, I would have set it up now, but I have a lot of stuff that needs to be transferred. I mean, I need to get on the phone with Nintendo, and I have to actually call them, have them transferred over. Oh, that's another thing. If you have an older 3DS or another 3DS model, and you have a Monster Hunter Generations model, you can, if you want to do a system transfer, simply delete everything off your original console, which unlinks your Nintendo Network ID. Then you get your new console, set it up how you want, and then perform a system transfer on, well, yeah, no, my bad, no. You can either, with the original 3DS, or if you have another 3DS system, you basically set it up for system transfer, and on the target new 3DS or 3DS XL, you're gonna select system transfer, and it's gonna transfer everything over the internet. Everything could either go for 3 minutes. Well, not 3 minutes. It can go for a few minutes, or it could go for an hour. It all depends on how much stuff you have on there. Um, Obviously, if you don't have a target system anymore, and you deleted everything off your old one before you traded it in, that unlinks your Nintendo Network ID from your console. In the case that you did have to do that, just make sure you still have the original box for your original 3DS, and just get Nintendo on the phone, call them up, just explain to them that you guys don't have that you don't have the target system anymore, and just provide them with your serial number for the old system. And they'll ask you a couple of questions about what games are on your system or whatnot. Just answer them very honestly, and they'll be able to do a system transfer for you right away. You guys were probably wondering on the 3DS, on the new 3DS XL, why there isn't an SD card slot. That's not to say that there isn't an SD card slot. There is an SD card slot on the console, but it's not an SD card slot. It's a micro SD. A micro SD card is something that like cell phones like the Samsung Galaxy and the LG phones use. It's a really small card, and they come in all sorts of capacities. They go all the way up to like 128, 200 gigs, even more. But yeah, the 3DS uses those. It uses those memory cards for storage. So if you want to use a larger size memory card before you set your console up, I would suggest buy that card, and you're going to put it. You're going to unscrew the bottom of the new 3DS, which are these two screws there and there. Unscrew it with a small Phillips head carefully, so you don't strip the screw heads. And then the whole bottom plate slides off, and then you can take the card out and everything. And then sliding on top of that, the last thing I want to show you guys is the screen. Now the screen doesn't look like much, but the screen has an NFC chip in it. NFC is short for near field communication. This allows the system to communicate with Amiibo figures. So if you have Amiibo figures in your house and you have a game and you have a game that's compatible with those figures, you can put it in your 3DS and tap the Amiibo figure onto the touchscreen, and it will register. Another thing I want to show you guys is that right next to the camera, you probably wonder what this little circle thing is. This circle is actually a tracker. It's a face tracker. It has facial recognition features. So when you're using 3D, I know on the old 3DS, when you had the 3D, you had to sit down and hold it in one spot while the 3D was on, and that would kill the effect if you tilted the system anyway. And for that reason, a lot of people just turned the 3D off because they were like, well, what the hell's the point playing it in 3D if I can't even see it while I'm moving? But this new system keeps track of where your face is. You know what I'm saying? So if you gradually move your face left and right, it'll gradually follow your face. So that way, no matter where you turn, the 3D effect is the same. If you move your head back and forth rapidly, it's gonna take about a second or two for it to like figure out where your face is. So you're not gonna get that seamless transitional effect right away. But like I said, it has that new feature, so now it actually makes sense to keep the 3D on your console. 3D will kill the battery life of your console a little bit faster, but being that's an XL, you get about an extra hour and a half out of it on the highest setting. Obviously, your time or your mileage on the console and the way you play on it will vary. When I had my original 3DS, they said about 5 hours on the lowest brightening setting, I was able to get at least 6.5 hours out of mine, and that's just from regular playing. But obviously, when I played on it, I always played it at that setting, so the battery was conditioned for that particular type of battery life. Whereas somebody that plays on high brightness all the time, they might only get 4 hours or 5 hours out of it on the lower setting because they're playing on maximum brightness all the time. But anyway, that was the end of my unboxing video. I do unboxings from time to time. Obviously, I don't have the cash to really go out and buy new stuff, but when I do get new stuff, I'll show it to you guys. I do a lot of retro game consoles. I talk about retro game consoles and their history. You know what I'm saying? What else? I have a lot. Like I said, I have a lot of retro consoles. I'll be talking about those. I have quite a few upstairs, so I'll give it like a brief description and whatnot. I have I usually keep up to date on gaming news in between work. So when I'm not working, you guys will hear little clips from gaming news from me. And then in the near future, once I save up enough money, I might get a GoPro. Once I get my Elgato game capture card, then I'll start to do gameplay videos and stuff like that for you guys to see. Like I said, another thing, I'll share my Wii U name and tag later on, as well as my 3DS Franco once I get this thing all set up. But yeah, like I said, this is my first video. There's gonna be more videos to come. You know, make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like to this video. Make sure you comment on this video, and make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell whoever you can. And as always, thank you for your continued support. And until next time,